This time we'll be combining a bit of science and a bit of art to make a very cool parametric wave handrail for my back staircase. We'll go over the whole process, fabricating a steel frame for the handrail, designing and building the 3D parametric wave rail, and of course the install and final reveal. So big picture here, the handrail is going to be supported by 3 steel posts with horizontal steel stretchers running between them. This steel frame is going to have 72 vertical plywood slats running between the stretchers. But the real magic in this design is the shape of the plywood slats. We're going to design all these slats to form a parametric wave across the surface of the handrail on both sides. And to do this, we're going to use a parametric design process similar to what we use to design the sign behind me right here. So that begs the question, what the heck is parametric design? Well, I'm glad you asked. And by the way, for those that aren't curious, I just want to get to the action. I'm going to put one of those little bar things going across the bottom during this section, so you can just skip ahead. I won't be offended. But for those of you that are curious and want to know about a very cool concept, let's dive in. If you do a Google search on parametric design, you get back a ton of really cool, modern, futuristic looking buildings and furniture designs. But while all these pictures look really cool, it doesn't really explain to us what parametric design is. So let's look at Wikipedia. It defines parametric design as a method where features of a structure are shaped according to algorithmic processes instead of being designed directly. With this design approach, parameters and rules are used to determine the relationship between design intent and design response. Okay, I gotta admit, that sounds like a ton of mumbo jumbo still, but I think we have a very simple example of parametric design in this video. It'll help you understand the broader concept. So the real work here comes in creating the shape of the wavy surface. And I basically just create a model with a wavy surface and then mirror that wavy surface on the other side of the model because we want a wave surface on both sides of the handrail. Now obviously this model is basically a sketch. This wave shape isn't cut up into the slats of the stair rail. This is where parametric design comes in. I can take a 3D model, which I designed quickly in Fusion 360, and input it into a parametric design software called Slicer. I provide that software with a few parameters, the number of slices, the spacing between slices, and so on. And it slices up the model and automatically generates all the slats that collectively will form that parametric wave surface. So these segments you see here are going to be the slats of the stair rail, 72 in total, spanning about 9.5 feet. This parametric design process is super cool because it allows me to do the artistic elements manually in Fusion 360. There's a bit of artistic touch required to get the shape of the wave correct, and I spent a good deal of time playing around with the wave surface and just getting it exactly how I wanted. But once I have that wavy surface designed, creating all those individual slats and designing those would be an extremely tedious process. But using the parametric design software, I'm able to generate all those slats automatically in less than a minute, when it otherwise would have taken hours and hours to do manually in Fusion 360. And it looks like what I envisioned in my head, but without a ton of the manual effort that would otherwise be required. Bonus, the software also takes all those slats and lays them out on sheets of 4x8 plywood for me, which is gonna make it very easy for me to cut those out on my CNC. Pro tip for those of you that don't have a CNC, you can still do this using the PDF files and printing them out to scale to create a template that you can then cut out and shape with a jigsaw. It's a lot more time to do this, but it isn't difficult. So I hope you can see how parametric design here can be extremely powerful. Design geek moment over. I hope you guys learned something. Now that we have the design for our slats, let's head down to the workshop to cut those out on the CNC. Next up, we gotta cut the wood support pieces that are gonna hold all these slats in place. Basically, there's gonna be 2 big combs, one for each half of the rail. They're gonna just slot through all of those, and we're gonna cut those long comb-shaped pieces out on the CNC. One and a half inch square tube. We're gonna make the posts for the stair rail out of this. Cut 3 42-inch pieces and weld them in place. So prep work's gonna be pretty simple. First thing we're gonna do is take a flap disc and basically grind off any of the excess steel that we got here from the cut, and make a little bevel so there'll be a little valley that we can puddle the welding material into when we do the weld. And then use a little acetone, clean up all the mill scale so that it'll take paint nicely. Now it's time to build the frame, and we're actually just gonna weld it in place. For starters, I'm really lucky that there actually is a steel angle iron right here. So this whole thing is steel. Just need to clean it up so we can weld to it. And this is my first time ever trying to weld in place. We got a bunch of welding blankets to try to protect everything, so cross your fingers, it'll work out. Overkill, but should hold. You guys know I like to share mistakes, and sometimes even the really, really stupid ones. I did measure twice. I even marked the exact spot where I was gonna put this, right in the middle of this. Somehow it's off by an inch. I have no idea how. It's welded in place. Just made a bunch of work for ourselves, cutting this off and grinding it down. I'm kicking myself, but oh well. Let's just see if we can fix this. Okay, try now. And now, I need to get that grinding wheel.
Many, many minutes later.
56 1/8, right?
Yep.
Whew. All right, we are back on track, and not bad. I think it actually came out a little better this time, so all's well that ends well. So one other thing we had to do is actually put a little extension on here, because obviously we cut some of it off. Now time to weld the rails in. We got them all held in place, plumb, square, all that good stuff. Made sure they're just slightly oversized for slats to fit in between them. So all that should be good, and let's lock them in place. Before we go further, a quick message from this video's amazing sponsor, Jackery. Jackery's portable power stations provide you with power whenever and wherever you want it. When the power stations are combined with Jackery's solar panels, they are the ultimate solar power generator. And of course, you can also charge them via your standard AC home outlet. I previously showed you guys the Jackery Explorer 1000, which I've been using and loving for a few months. At CES 2023, Jackery introduced the new Solar Generator 1500 Pro, and they sent me a unit to try out. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you know that there is a new member of the industrial team. Say hello to Tex. I cannot wait to throw the 1500 Pro in the truck, load up Tex, and go on some adventures with this guy once the weather warms up here in Chicago. With a constant output of 1800 watts, the 1500 Pro supplies a massive amount of power. That's enough to power a mini fridge, a microwave, and many power tools. You can get a full charge in as fast as 2 hours with Jackery's 200-watt Solar Saga panels. You get continuous solar power anywhere in the world to recharge your tools' batteries, to charge your phone, and even power a lot of corded power tools. I've also found it super handy in the workshop because I can just have an outlet anywhere I need it, so I don't have to worry about running extension cords or anything like that. For example, I've used the smaller Explorer 1000 to power my sander, to power my heat gun, among others. And now that I got the 1500 Pro, I'm really excited to see what it can do. I just tested it out running my concrete mixer, and it's gonna be amazing for that. With its folding carry handle, 1-minute setup time, and the magnetic folding solar panels, the 1500 Pro is perfect to throw in your truck, van, or camper. All the Jackery power stations use batteries that can be charged via solar, a huge benefit over old school gas generators. With some battery powered devices, safety is a concern, but not with the Jackery. The 1500 Pro has an intelligent battery management system with 12 forms of protection. It has a 30% improved heat dissipation efficiency, an unrivaled cooling system supported by 2 high-precision chips and 8 sensors, plus it's shock resistant and fire retardant. There are just so many features built into the 1500 Pro. One other that I do want to mention is the ultra-long standby. It lasts 472 days from an 80% charge level. Right now is a great time to buy since Jackery has some amazing sales going on. The brand new 1500 Pro is available for pre-order right now, and if you order quickly, you can get 15% off its standard retail price. There are also great sales going on for some of Jackery's older units. Those are up to 30% off. Head over to the link in the description to check out Jackery for yourself. Of course, when you support a brand that supports the channel, you are also supporting the channel, so thanks in advance for that. So let's get the stair rail built so that we can have free run upstairs for techs. So the logistics of actually getting everything in, getting these slats all in place and attached has actually been a little bit tricky. Here's what I've come up with. We're gonna have these little tabs here that are gonna be welded to the support rails and then bolted to the support pieces coming here. One major consideration here though is that as these tabs are coming up, they gotta fit exactly between here so they don't block any of these. So what we're gonna do is first precisely drill all the holes for these bolts in the cross pieces. Then we'll take the cross pieces up to the railing and use these support pieces with the tabs bolted to them to hold the tabs in place as we weld them to the rail. Time to weld, and at this point, once it's done, no going back. As always, cross your fingers for me. Successfully welded on site. Happy how it came out. Now we just gotta prime and paint the metal. It's a little more work when we weld on site because we gotta use brushes instead of spraying, but so be it. Cameraman Cam and I are gonna knock that out right now. For these cross support pieces, I decided that I'm gonna go ahead and paint these, and we're gonna just paint them first with primer and then paint them black. So the idea is that they're gonna kinda disappear. Since we have to paint both sides of these, we've just threw a 2x4 across there, and we're gonna take strings and hang them so we can paint all the sides at once, and it will literally cut the amount of time we have to spend waiting for paint to dry between coats in half. So next up, we gotta sand and finish, and like most projects, sanding is super boring. And unlike most projects, the finishing is also gonna be super boring because we're using paste wax, which basically makes it go from a blonde to a slightly darker blonde. No grain popping, anything fun like that. So we're just gonna skip ahead and get right to the assembly. Actually, I lied. I forgot we have one other step. I gotta route little grooves right by where the tabs are in the support pieces to basically allow room for the welds so that those support pieces can fit flush against the tabs. All right, so it was a little trickier than I thought getting the top piece on, but slowly just through gently kind of finagling it, sandwiching it, we're getting there. Oh, this looks so cool. There is this gap here. So what I think I'm gonna do here is create another slat that sort of interpolates halfway between these two pieces, slice 1.5 inches the thickness of the post out of the middle, and then basically use some epoxy to put that piece on so that it will be continuous across the middle post here. So I got the pieces cut out here that are gonna go into this middle post and kind of fill in this gap in the pattern. And long-term plan, what I'm gonna do is put some 1/4 inch dowels into these sides, drill 1/4 inch holes in here, throw a little dab of epoxy, and then those will just hold right onto that. But I am actually out of 1/4 inch dowels right now. So out of curiosity, I tried some double-sided tape and it holds pretty darn well. I'm gonna throw them on there with the double-sided tape. And as soon as they fall off, we'll use the dowels. I'm ordering them right now. But anyway, kind of a fun little experiment to see how long a temporary solution will last here. If you like this project, make sure you sub and bell because I've got a lot of really cool high design projects to really take this abandoned building to the next level. As always, I appreciate the love and support from everyone out there. That's it for this time, and I'll see you next time.